I'm going to send this link to the other teachers in the Colombo, just in case that anybody wants to connect and watch you. So I'm going to send it right now, and then we're just going to wait 3 minutes for people to connect.
Teacher,
So let me see. There we go. Very good, guys. So in this moment, I just sent the link to the other teachers in the Colombo. We're just going to wait around 2 minutes for them to receive the link to connect, and then we're going to get started with your presentations. All right. So in this moment, you have at least 5 minutes just to relax, just to review what you're going to say, to look at your notes, to get ready, to go get a cup of water, and just to embrace the idea of giving a perfect, a very well delivered presentation, all right? So let's just relax for 1 minute.
Teacher, in case that no one comes, you will tell?
In case that no one comes, although I think that some people will come, but we have a schedule, all right? We're going to start at around 10 and 15. If nobody is here, we still do the presentations, all right? Like, this is a good opportunity for you guys to present with the pressure of having someone watching you apart from your classmates. It is good because of that reason, but still, this is just a grade of the class like any other grade. And the important thing is that you guys give a well structured presentation, and I will give you a grade for this, regardless of the people who are watching it, okay? So, as I told you a moment ago, guys, just relax these 5 minutes. Um, Go get a cup of water, just breathe a little, look at your notes, and we're going to get started in 5 minutes, all right?
My hands are cold. Teacher, adapt in past, it is adapted, adapt, or how?
You're right, it is adapted. Adapted. Adapted.
Adapted.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, Juanjo, please get ready. We're going to start with your presentation in just 1 minute. All right?
Teacher, I have a question very quickly. Uh, I can turn on my camera and talk about me, my presentation, and turn off to start the presentation for the internet. Because, but if not, I will try to start the camera on.
Okay. All right. Alrighty, Juanjo. So in this moment, I give you the floor. You're good to start your presentation. Now, your presentation will be about electrical engineering. That will be some very nice and important, pieces of information on how it has helped our current society. So thank you very much for your presentation. And in this moment, the class is yours. Please present.
Teacher, the screen is not possible to share.
Try now.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So give me a minute. Mm, screen. Okay, are you listening my screen? Yes.
Yes, Juanjo, I can see your screen.
Okay, teacher. Okay. Okay, I turn my camera for this. Okay. Why study electronic engineering? This career is about technology and future, how the humanity can advance, for example, creating different gadgets or applications in medicine, telecommunications, and other areas. You have the freedom to do anything, but it's okay, okay. I will explain you more slowly some application. Take it easy and go ahead. Okay, something we have been looking at this electronic in medicine. Progress in medicine is a consequence of electronic work in this area. Electronic have created different applications to help doctors and make the process medical easier. We have all seen in movies or series with excellent technology in medicine, such as healing people very quickly or healing fatal wounds. But this is very close to happening with the advance that there are. Other application is very important. For example, in this moment, we are using telecommunications. That you can listen me and watching me is a product about the electronics. The telecommunications are a very important area in electronics due to the need to we have to communication with other people. When you have a call or chat with someone, the electronic is present. Moreover, you don't forget the internet. This is the principal tool in the last 2 years thanks to the pandemic. Finally, maybe sorry. Uh, Finally, maybe some minutes ago you were eating your breakfast, I imagine, or somewhere or something. But have you talked about the process in this food? The process in this food, agronomy and electronics, both very different words, but they can have a close relationship. The electronics can have a follow-up on the crops with sensors and any different data that we have. All these to have the best harvest and the best products. Nevertheless, it is become a more complicated thanks to the strong climate change. Okay, we can do a lot of things of electronic. For example, help people communicate, have a control about something, and other things. In addition to these areas, the electronic is advancing faster every day, and it's necessary to learn about this for apply the different tools that the electronic. If you think the limit in electronics is your imagination, because you can solve practically any problem with technology. It just may take you a little longer, but it is that is the introduction to electronics. Thank you so much, and we'll continue with me my other partners.
Alrighty, Juanjo, thank you very much for that amazing presentation. Now, in your presentation, we can see all the uses that we can give to electronic engineering in the modern world. So you talked about the internet, you talked about breakfast, you talked about the medical field, and all of the things that we actually do with electrical engineering that we don't usually know about. So probably we think that electrical engineering has some use in software development or website development as well, but we don't really see how it is a part of our daily life. So it is good to know the ways that it is integrated into our own lives. Thank you very much for your presentation, Juanjo. Now, in this moment, I'm going
Thank
to
you, teacher.
thank you. I'm going to send you a message through the private chat with the feedback on your presentation as well as your grade for task number 2. Thank you very much. Now, in this moment, we're going to continue with the presentation of Angie Benjumea. So Angie, please get ready and start any moment you are ready.
Okay, well, my presentation is about a book that I like a lot, and its name is Almond by Wong Ping San. Before I start with my presentation, I would like to ask you a question. You don't need to tell me your answers. I just want you to think about it for a little bit in a moment. And this is the question. What makes us human? Or in a more complete way, I wanted to know if, have you ever wondered what makes us human? I know that to some of you, it may sound like an obvious question, and maybe you're thinking of the typical answers such as soul, or maybe feelings or bodies that, well, our body as human beings is really different from other species, such as animals. But I wanted to start with this because throughout history, we have heard in multiple times about humanity and what makes a person more human than another, or what makes us a good or a bad person. And as an example, I wanted to talk about the wars because sometimes we wonder if people who started wars were feeling something at the moment they did it, or if they felt bad knowing the fact that they were killing thousands and even millions of people. Well, I wanted to start with this because this, in fact, is a philosophical question that maybe it has an answer or maybe not, but it's like the heart of the book that I'm going to talk about. Almond by Wong Ping San tells us the story of Junje. Junje is a boy with a strange brain condition called alexithymia that prevents him from recognizing and expressing feelings. In a more medical way, it's a disease that is associated with an undergrowth of the cerebral amygdala, and usually it's the size of an almond. That's why the book is called Almond, because of the amygdala. Well, during his childhood, he was like in a protection bubble made by his mother and his grandmother. When he was a little boy, his mother took him to all kinds of doctors to try to find out like a solution to his problem, but they didn't know the solution. They didn't know what to do. So they started to train him to face the world, which is a cruel and dangerous world for a boy that is really different from us, from the normal people. And they started to train him in a way that, for example, they show him an image of a picture of a person smiling, and they teach him that the smile means that the person was happy. And to give you a context, while children his age were learning about, I don't know, maybe multiplication tables, he was trying to understand when to smile, when to say thank you, or when to apologize, because he didn't understand how he was supposed to understand the feelings of people in general. And maybe to some of you, it may sound like a cool um, illness, a cool status of the fact of not feeling anything, but it's a big risk because he's incapable of feeling fear, which is the basis of human survival. So he didn't fear the death, which is really dangerous because he had to learn that if a car was about to, I don't know, run him over, for example, he needed to understand that he had to move out so he wouldn't die because he didn't fear the car that was about to crash. And well, this protection bubble didn't last enough because on his 60th birthday, while they were searching for a restaurant to celebrate, well, a man with a knife and a hammer appeared out of nowhere, and he started to kill several people, including his grandmother and his mother. His grandmother died, and his mother went into a coma. I know it sounds strange, but this is a really cool chapter because it makes us have a different perspective of ethics and morals of society. Because even though he couldn't feel anything, because he didn't feel sad about the fact that his grandmother and his mother died, he started to question everything because he tells that the people that was watching this killing, this moment, were so terrified that they didn't help the people that was dying. They were just shouting and recording with their cell phones, and he didn't understand why. Nobody helped him well. Also, as news of this tragedy started to come out, a report of the man's story, about the killer's story, appeared. In short, it's a story about an ordinary man with an ordinary life. He worked in a company for about 14 years and he was fired. So with the liquidation money, he started a new business. He opened a fried chicken restaurant, but after 2 years, he had to close it because of lack of money. And he got into a huge debt and his family left him alone. They abandoned him and he started to feel so unhappy that one day he decided that he wanted to kill everybody that he sees in the street having a good day. And after killing all these people, he committed suicide. People started to empathize a lot with him. They started to see like the reality of the society nowadays in him. So they started to forget about the victims. They started to defend the killer instead of the victims. And this talks about the false empathy that we have and how strange and complicated are the morals and the ethics of society nowadays. After all of this, of course, he changes a lot. He started to meet new people. Among the most important characters, there is Gon. Gon is a boy with a really turbulent past. He grew up without the love of his family, and his story is really cool, but it's really, really long, so I'm not going to talk about it. And Dora, who is an athlete that doesn't receive help from her parents or support in her dream of becoming a runner. With them, the writer talks about issues such as identity and singularity, about what makes us have a dream or a purpose in life. It talks about a lot of doubts that we as young people tend to have, and it's really cool. For example, this is a quote that is in the book and I liked a lot. And it says, what does it mean to be like the others? When everyone is different, who should I follow? Well, in conclusion, I'm not going to talk about all the book. I just give you a little review. Just want to give you a little review. In conclusion, this is a book that talks about what it means to be human and who we are and who we want to be, about what it means to be here living, if we need a purpose to be living, or we are just here to different reasons. Also, it makes us wonder if white is really white and black is really black when everything in our world is painted in shades of gray, because I don't think that there is something completely good or completely bad. There's always like a balance. And it's a really good book. It talks about a lot of different issues and I recommend it a lot. If you want to read something in a more philosophical aspect, I think you will like Almond by Wong Kim Sun. And finally, to conclude my presentation, I would like to quote a phrase or a sentence that I liked a lot. And it says, at last, I became a human. And at that very moment, the world was drifting far away from me. And that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, that was amazing. Thank you very much for your presentation, Angie. Very good job. That was an amazing presentation, very visual, very appealing. And well, the information that you said is also very interesting to kind of know a little bit more about this kind of leadership that is not very common in our current, society. Because that kind of international leadership, I think you said it was from Korea, right? It's just starting to get some feel here in our Western culture. So thank you very much to let us know about new authors that we can study, about new books that we can read, and to give us that amazing review of how we can learn to, understand the world a little bit more through emotion and to learning how to cooperate with others, to understand ourselves and to discover who we really are. So thank you very much for your presentation, Angie. I'm going to send you a short message in your private chat with the feedback on your presentation as well as the grade that you had for task number 2. So thank you very much. Very good job. Let's move on with our next presentation. That will be with Paula Andrea. Paula, the stage is yours. You can start any moment you want.
Okay. Let me share my screen. So good morning. It's a pleasure to have you here. My name is Paula Andrea Garcia Villegas. Sorry if my screen freeze. My internet is a little bad today, so I'm sorry. I am a social studies teacher. That's the reason why I want to show you this topic today. The topic is education. You have to take into account that I am talking about public schools. So the situation may be different in private schools. Do you think that nowadays the education has developed or it is the same as always? It is a question that it's important for me because I always try to improve myself as a teacher. So here we can see 2 images. The first one is from the 19th century and the another one is from this year. Both are almost the same if we don't take into account the mask, obviously. And it is a horrible thing for me because, as you know, and as Juan Jose told us, the technology and all the things are evolving, and it's horrible that the classrooms and the education are still the same. So at first, the organization by roles was efficient, since future workers of the factories were taught to follow rules, such as only talking when the superior asks. In this case, the teacher is the superior person. But the current education is not only for that. It is supposed to seek to expand horizons and help the human being to evolve. Nevertheless, how can teaching evolves doing it as the same way as centuries ago? So, okay. Now we're going to talk about teacher-student relationship. We can see that the student and teacher relationship has not changed much over time. Some teachers still see their students as people who know nothing and who cannot contribute anything to the class. And maybe they see them like a blank book. So it's a horrible way to see a person. Number one, they are people. And number two, a person who learned a lot by the internet. So it's so complicated working in that way with people. Now, let's think about that the students think that the information that they learn in school are useless. That's because we are giving them descontextualized information. Doing that, it is only educating for the text, for the quiz, for the things that are in real life. So in conclusion, theories may advance, yet their implementation is still lacking, especially in the world countries. That is why I am advanced at all. Although it is very hopeful that some schools and even some countries are trying to implement new ideas, new forms, interaction for educational purposes. But there is much room for improvement. So I am give you an invitation. Teachers, you can do something different, something that can help our students to improve, to evolve, and not only give them information and that's it. So thank you very much. This is all my presentation.
Alrighty, Paola, amazing job. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think that the topic that you tackled is very important, at least in our context, because just as you were showing, if you look at education before 200 years ago and you compare it with the education that we have now, it is basically the same system. You have some students sitting down in the classroom just looking straight ahead of them without much context and without much opportunities to actually practice what they are doing. So it is very good to know that there has been little improvement, but that means that we still have a lot to do to improve the education educational system that we live on today. So thank you very much for recommendations. Thank you for taking the time to research on this and to let us know that, well, we have to do something for the education of at least our country. So thank you very much for your presentation once again. I'm going to send you a short message in your private chat so that you can see the feedback on your presentation as well as the grade that you had for task number 2. Alrighty, now we're going to have the last presentation of this session. We're going to have the presentation by Stephanie Paez. So Stepha, please go on anytime you're ready.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. I am going to talk about my favorite movie or book, which is actually a saga. And I have to say that I am really sorry because I need to turn off my camera while I do the presentation, because if I try to share my screen at the same time with the camera on, it doesn't work. So I really sorry. Now I am going to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so I am going to talk about Harry Potter. This is the story of the famous boy who lived. This saga is compounded by 7 books and 8 movies. It starts with Harry and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry and the Chambers of Secrets, Harry and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is actually my favorite movie and book as well. Then Harry and the Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and finally the last one book, which is named Harry and the Deathly Hallows. This book was adapted in 2 movies, and that's the reason why there are 8 movies instead of 7 as the books. As I told you before, this is the major story of the boy who lived, Harry Potter. He was living in Privet Drive number 4 with his Aunt Petunia, his Uncle Vernon, and his cousin Dudley. These people were always trying to make Harry miserable. This story starts when Harry turned 11 years old and he received the Hogwarts letter. His family tried to do his best in order not to let Harry read the letter that Hogwarts had sent to him, because they knew what was the letter about, and actually they didn't agree on magic. So they tried to hide Harry and they ran away to an island. Nevertheless, their plans couldn't work because Hagrid could find them too fast. Once Harry discovered he was a magician, he felt surprised because his family had never told him something about it before. But at the same time, he was excited because for the first time, he could go out without her horrible and terrible family. So his adventures started once he went to the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. All the magicians could go there through the platform 9 3/4, which is actually between the platforms 9 and 10 in the King's Cross station located in London. As the story keeps going on, Harry makes new friends, amazing friends, but also he makes some
enemies. Harry Potter had the responsibility for defeating Voldemort, alias you know who, or the one who must not be named. But the worst thing about it was that he couldn't complain about his situation. So the only solution that he had was learning how to deal with it until he finally could defeat him. Harry's life was so difficult, but he also had so many adventures, even so the bad situations. As a magician that he was, he learned how to fight with some magic spells. For example, Septum Sempra, Petrificus Totalus, Expelliarmus, Accio, Avada Kedavra, etc. Harry was as brave as he could defeat a basilisk when he was only 12 years old. He also was capable of participate in the Three Wizards tournament when he was only 14 years old and not 17 as the requirements say. Actually, he was the winner of this Three Wizards tournament. After so many terrible situations happened, Harry and his friends, Hermione and Ronald, knew that the only way to defeat Voldemort was destroying the Horcruxes. The Horcruxes were some objects where Voldemort had hidden some part of his soul. But this task was not an easy peasy because these objects were hidden in some different places. At the end, they could find all of them and Harry defeat the one who must not be named. So at that time, he didn't have to be worried about enemies anymore. And that's it. That is all my presentation. And I'm here again.
Thank you very much, Estefa. Very good job. Thanks for that amazing presentation. So in there we could see, we could remember a little bit about the saga that many people love, that many people have watched, and that is one of the most famous around the world. Even if you don't like Harry Potter, I'm sure that you're going to know what it is about just a little bit. So we can really see all the story that goes behind it, the general idea of the book, and how it has enchanted so many people into actually, creating a real world Harry Potter and living in that fantasy. So thank you very much for your presentation. I'm going to send you a message through your private chat so that you can see my feedback on your presentation as well as your grade for task number 2.
Okay, teacher, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. There you go. All right, guys, so those were your presentations. This really shows all the preparation that you guys have had during all of these modules that you have completed so far in the Colombo. So thank you very much for preparing. Thank you for taking the time to make such amazing presentations. To the people that are watching us or that were watching us from home or from class, thank you very much for taking your time to watch these presentations that my class has prepared for you. Now, I'm sure that you guys were able to see the level of my students and to see how they have evolved through all of these levels until the point that they are now. This is something that you will probably have to do in the future. So it's good to see what it is about and also the level that you guys will have from here until the end of all the process in the Colombo. So thank you very much to the presenters. Thank you to the viewers and the students who are watching this from your class and to the teachers that took the time to get into the presentation. I'm going to finish the recording now. Thank you very